Homies, 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 it is time for more Cause Monarchy, more Pronogo casts. And we have Art of Turtle taking on Sosij in this quarterfinal. Today's match will be the third quarterfinal. Winner of this will face the winner of the fourth quarterfinal, Cannoli Doglived. Looking forward to that one as well. If you're watching this on the YouTube VOD, you know that's up tomorrow. Now, AOT is our green Zerg in the top right of Macroia. And in the bottom left, we have Sosij, the eggshell blue Protoss. Gateway is coming on up here for our Protoss. A few words about each player. AOT has been grinding like a madman lately, and even though he ended up losing to a 5-game series against Smarty Cakes' Protoss, Smarty had also been grinding quite a bit. Sosij, he plays when he wants to, you know what I mean? He plays when he feels like it, and he does feel like it pretty often, but maybe not as much of a grinder, you know? He likes to play against Thunderslaps a lot, you know, and Grass Eater as well, another one. And so he's got some Zerg practice buddies. You know, Thunderslaps plays a little bit of Terran as well, and maybe sometimes Protoss, I think. But I've only caught him off racing on Replay Kraken a few times. That's cosmonarchy.com/matches to see Replay Kraken output. Pretty cool stuff. You can grab replays there, cast them, watch them, whatever you want. And of course, AOT has been getting in the zone. Seed number 3 for the tournament. Obviously, I had to give Doglived the nod over him because Doglived made it all the way to the final of the last Tribunal and is staying with his Sosij race as well, for that matter. Looks to me like Sosij wanted to correct his warden placement there. Yeah, you lose some money when you cancel a structure, so that's not ideal that that's how he ended up doing that. But it's also not the end of the world. You know, these are small notes. At this level, the efficiency isn't cracked all the way up to, dialed all the way up to 10, you know what I mean? Second Larvosk on the way, though, for AOT, so his build is coming along very smoothly, and he's moving across the map. He did go pool before any Kagrand. We are going to get 6 Zeths across. We have a Hierophant here for defense, and Zealot Ecclesiast on the way behind it, as well as the Warden. Warden is pretty early, but it kind of ends up being warranted here, right? Because you're going to get 1 Zeth killed, and then what do you do with the Warden? Maybe he can still get a Scribe, but he would end up sacking a lot of HP. It's also worth noting that the the Hierophant basically confirms that these Zeths can't even stay in the base to scout the way that you sometimes like to, and the way that you enjoy seeing if you're a Zerg player and you're watching like Starcraft 1, you're looking at ZVP. That's kind of the situation that you end up being with, like, oh no, there's Lings in the base, they're just going to run around, especially if they're speed Lings, they're just going to run around forever. You know, we all think about how Soma does it. But AOT, not going to even be given the opportunity. The Hierophant slows units down when it attacks. So, tags the unit with a debuff, and then they get slowed, and everybody else can catch up to him. So, he kind of faked Sosij out a little bit there, where Sosij pulled his Hierophant back into a more defensive position in case he was going to be surrounded. But AOT was just leaving. And so, he ends up leaving with all but 1 Zeth, hatching many more. And a couple pairs of Nathrokors are on the way as well. So this will be an interesting sight. We do have that expansion coming. Zealot Ecclesiast with that Hierophant support moving on out. And we have the Grand Library Embassy before Nexus. He's going to go for the Nexus as well. This feels like Sosij might be doing too many things. You think about what the Zerg can have at this point. They can have Vorvrikors, and they do. They can have a lot of Zeth. They can even have that expansion already finished, depending on their build order. And now here he is across the map versus Zeth Vorv with the Nathrokors as well. That's going to be no armor on anything here pretty soon. And so it does feel like this is a wrap for this army. Down goes the Hierophant. Looks like the Ecclesiasts are going to be targeted next. And the Nathrokors almost basically, they practically stick to you. They don't do a lot of damage, but they will whittle you down eventually. And so that is a wrap for most of that army. And so if the Nexus was started in the middle of all of that, it was canceled, and wisely so in some ways. Cantave's going to finish up. If it can stay alive, it will be able to do a lot of damage with Psystorm, but I'm not entirely convinced that it will, especially when you think about the Nathrokors kind of specialize in just right-clicking a unit and eventually killing it. There's no anti-air here. What are you even going to use versus all those Nats? Kind of a pocket, really good pocket unit there. Oh no, those Zealots got hallucinated as well. Well, there's the Storm. That's good. Zealots can stand in there, but when you walk through the hallucination field, you end up taking extra damage. And so, not great. Oh, he storms the gateway. It's killing a lot of Zeth, so it might have been pretty good there in some ways, but I'm not sure that was the best move. The Cantavus has been killed. It looks like maybe that was still ending up with enough damage to dissuade AOT from pushing forward. He's going to take a third base. He's got okay saturation here and in the minerals, but, you know, he's going to be able to gas max pretty hard if that's what he wants to do. And also, it's worth pointing out, larva max. You know, you're getting more larva with every hatch. It's obvious to anybody who's played any StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, or indeed Cosmonarchy, but it's something that kind of goes under the radar for these mass expand builds. Frustration stage on the way for Sosij before he gets his Nexus up. Yeah, you want to be on 2 base before your tier 3 structure ends up starting, unless you're doing some very specific kind of tech rush. And, you know, I feel for Sosij. He has been put into a really dire position here. Just hasn't ended up working out. Stark contrast, by the way, you guys want to see Protoss being successful versus Zerg, you can check out 2 casts ago, we had Arbuz Budesh take on Grass Eater, and there were some of those matches were fairly indicative of, you know, gateway heavy play styles, even Grand Library heavy play style at one point. So, you know, just something to point out there for those who want to see how that one goes. You know, no spoilers, but also that match was a while ago, and so whatever, you guys know. But yeah, just worth pointing out. Like I like to occasionally, as if one race is doing a little bit roughly, done dirty by the opponent. Sometimes you only catch one Cosmonarchy match, or this is the first time in a while that you've caught one, and you're like, man, I remember Protoss always losing to Zerg. I guess it still happens. Well, I got one for you. At least check out, regardless of the outcome. Scribe's transferring down here. Finally, for Sosij, he's down by a lot of workers. When you're down by this many workers and you have no chance to really animate across the map and do much of anything, it really feels like the game's already aligned against you. That being said, we have a decent number of Zealots. We obviously have 2 Ecclesias here as well. The Amaranth is okay. It's only one of them, so he's not going to be like a huge tip of the spear or anything. But he should be able to shield steal a little bit. Sometimes I like to see Protoss players sending a couple Amaranths into like worker lines and stuff, because no matter how many workers you try to attack an Amaranth with, you're not going to kill it. It's just going to shield steal too much. He's going to get right on top of this army. Not a bad idea, because obviously AOT is building a bunch of extra units along the way. The Nathrokors are rending armor. They're right on top of that Atreus right now. Not really the biggest choice. But it looks like that fight wasn't as overwhelmingly a victory for Sosij as what he wanted. And again, he's attacking the military. I think in this situation, Zerg is totally happy to trade army rather than worry about rebuilding workers and slowing down the pace of their acquisition of further tech. We got that Ulgord Cavern on the way, which is mutated from the same structure that makes the Lake Is, that unlocks the Lake Is from the larva. And so, obviously, if StarCraft 1 players are going to be like, what? Lurker? Yeah, Lurker comes out of egg now, and then you upgrade the Lurker structure, and it lets you make Ultra Core. Ultras. Yeah. So, anyway, forget what you know about Zerg. But definitely one of those things that you got to watch out for in this matchup. When you don't have a lot of overwhelming damage or debuffs or something like that to keep Ultra Cores in check, they do get damage or health back for the damage that they deal. They have lifesteal. And so, really, really important to slow down their attack speed. Also, when they eat a corpse, they move and attack faster, so just ends up getting pretty outrageous as they win. Something to watch out for. Pariah out here are going to be the primary force to be reckoned with this army. Only got one, a second one on the way. They deal crowd control, so some splash damage and a kind of cone attack similar to Fire Bat in StarCraft 1. And the Witnesses are being spotted out by the Ovaleth, and then the Nathrokors go crazy on them. So their anti-air attack way better than their anti-ground attack. Looks like base number 3 on the way for Sosij, based on his army movement and his worker movement as well. And he might be looking at a storm drop here. He's got an Envoy coming out and a Cantavis at the same time. That feels linked, you know? And tier 2, okay. AOT going to be scaling up the tech tree a little bit further. Ski-backed on the way as his upgraded Den. That's going to let him make some, pseudo-artillery units. We'll see if he even wants to. He doesn't seem to have that many Hydras, if any. A lot of Iziracors, though. He might just be thinking about making Teths later. And you know what? Fair enough. Unitary Union on the way for Sosij. That's another tier 3 structure for him. If he can get up to Vibrances or something, he might be able to hold out here, but it does feel like the go signal has been reached. And by the way, something that I didn't talk about, but when you make the Ulgord Cavern, not only can you make Ultra Cores, which are what's happening right now, big storm drop here as well. Well, I said big, but he only ends up killing 4 workers on there. not bad. He can wait for the energy to recharge inside the Cantavis. Energy goes really, really fast. Nathrokors are going to be kind of a problem. Oh, he's over. He's not even over. Yeah, he's not even over land. Now, okay, thankfully AOT doesn't actually spot that. Thankfully for the Protoss, that is. But you get access to the Ultra Cores. You morph them from these funky units, the Zoryus. The scary thing, too, though, is that from your larva, you can make Gorgs, flying Ultra Cores, scissor hands, whatever you want to call them. It's pretty good. Now, these workers never got resaturated, which is a bad thing for AOT in some ways, but also a good thing for him in some ways. And so, looks like the Envoy is going to be scooting around looking for more. I mean, AOT just has such a huge army. It almost doesn't matter that we're going to get another storm drop off here. Trying to blanket them over there. You can kind of move it around a little bit, which is what you saw that recast doing. So he ends up killing a bunch of larvae this time around, and some workers, but honestly, like, AOT could lose all of his workers right now, and he could very easily still win the game. Just this sheer scale of his army is huge. And Zerg themselves, they aren't the best versus armored targets, but when the Zoryus takes damage, they spawn a little Broodling type unit, the Rokor. And when that unit dies, it reduces armor. It's not a stacking debuff, but it still is a debuff, and it also reduces attack speed. It's like a Devourer stack, if you will. And so, yeah, you can't really step through this army. The Zoryus also speeds up allies that move towards its victim, so every time it attacks, it's like creating a speed boost, as long as you're moving in the direction of your target there. The storm goes down. It's going to help clear some of these Zerg. The lake has started to burrow, though, and so those ground units are just going to be shellacked immediately. Eventually, you run out of storm energy. Eventually, you run dry, and so the Cantavis has. A lot of pariahs, admittedly. Did a lot of damage here. 8 Hydras and 3 Zoryus in production. We got a humongous amount of Zets and Ultra Cores coming down. The Ultra Cores didn't even come in with the army. Everything here went down without the presence of the Ultra Cores, and here they are. Hi. Lake is out here as well. Just absolutely eviscerating. Now he pulls away from the crowd control there, which is pretty good. One Ultra Core will die as it regresses back into what it turned into it. Assylians are doing some pretty good damage. They've got pretty good armor pen. So it's a little bit of a sloppy fight from AOT, but he secures the kill onto the third. Reset his own third. And it looks like pretty much everything besides, like, he never really fully saturated this natural or anything. Taking a fourth base at 12. And, you know, just more issues for our Protoss. His Crucible under attack. He's going to need to peel off a couple of units for that. Like, the best thing he could do is peel off one Pariah, but it doesn't even look like he's going to be able to. This actually is supercharging his production to increase the training speed of the structures there. So that's actually a really important structure to be picking off, and it's very pricey. Looks like everything is still powered at the very least, so it's not like he's out of power on his production structures. But we got so many more Zets. A lot of idle workers are going to saturate that undersatted natural. Third base never got started here for AOT, so I guess we can keep an eye out on that. Assylians finally clean up all those Nathrokors. They really need to be on the front line clearing some of these Zerg though, and it doesn't really feel like that's what's happening. Cantavis on the front. Oh no, they lost track. Sosij did not have it. Not have it in him to storm everything, and it feels like that was absolutely compulsory if he wanted to hold this. In goes an Ultra Core. It's going after an Atreus of all things, so it will be brought down. But there's more where that came from. That's the problem with AOT's Eco. 76 workers. There's always more where that came from. Zet surrounding Assylians. I never thought I would see that. Pariah comes down to try to help out. A round of Nathrokors to help rend the armor. And there just is no stopping the Zerg here. Scribes start to be drilled to see if they can help out a little bit, but GG has to be called as the next round streams on in. Zerg victory. A 14-minute game? You could say competitive back and forth, but really AOT was leading from the front the entire time. We'll see what happens behind game 2. Maybe Sosij can redeem himself. Zerg here. AOT, the Japanese Violet Zerg in the top left, is going up against Sosij. Once again, the eggshell blue Protoss. And now in the bottom right, we are on Corrosion, previously Macroia, both BDB maps. So there's a pattern for you. Looking forward to what happens on this game. I don't really get to see PvZ on this map very often. It's a fairly standard map in some ways, but it does have a very open middle. And so we get up into this big macro game. I absolutely want to see fights in the middle of the map. I just think that'll be so cool. Like a Obviously, Octagon recently came out for the ASL maps and such, but this middle of the map has so much room. It's very, very similar, and obviously it was made before Octagon was like in public consciousness. Maybe before Octagon itself was made. I'm not sure about the timing there. Oh, okay. Sosij is going to be doing a little bit of mining. Would not surprise me if he ends up proxying something from here. Like, I could totally see like an embassy, make envoy. Gonna be going for the reservoir. Has he mathed this out? Is this actually worth sending the workers all the way across? Because they obviously it's a further transfer, worker distance, travel distance, and you do need like I think 5 workers to fully sat this. I feel like. It's like 4.5, I think, 4.25 maybe. So 4 workers would be all right. He's kind of working on half saturation for that. At which point, it's not that different than just... It's basically like a little bit worse than a geyser, I think. I might be doing the math wrong in my head, broadcast math and all that, but I think that's basically like a ridge. And if you want like a neutral ridge that's going to not be scouted for a long time, yeah, that might still be good. Maybe a neutral slightly better than a ridge. Neutral rich ridge. Triple lattice for him, too, so he's going to be going for idols. We saw Arbuz go for lattice into like sim vassal, and then he did a second lattice, made like manifold idol with some sims. It was pretty good. So we'll see if Sosij does anything like that. Now the Zets are going to come in and immediately go after the sim. That's a little bit rough. Now you got to fall back and use your workers. This should still be a fine hold. Oh, don't attack your own Nexus though. Instantly loses a single scribe. Stop attacking your Nexus. Stop it. It didn't do anything to you. Worst thing would be for the Zets to go to the bottom left for whatever reason, and just kill those 2 scribes as well. But Sosij should be just fine. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. No need to move across the map right now, buddy. And probably... Oh, he's going for embassy. I really think he needs a Nexus. I think he needs to like cut production a little bit after like maybe 7 vassal or 7 idols or something like that. Ironically, I misspoke and said vassal, but you could go for at least 1 vassal just to scout, see what the opponent's doing. I would recommend that. But I don't think embassy makes sense here. Unless he's going for, like, witness. But even then, it's so expensive. And you got mini witness anyway. With the vassal, of course. Sims are being made. We do have Nathrokors coming as well for AOT. He's got his Vornath done. Yeah, I mean, not that different than the last composition that he ended up making. However, I think this time we are going to need to see Zerg. And even then, Zerg won't do it alone if manifolds start to get added in, because then you're adding armor pen to this attack, and it will deal a lot more damage. Zets poke their faces in, 2 of them get blown off. The third guy's like, I ain't going there. And Hatch is done now for AOT. He was trying to see if he could confirm whether or not there was a Nexus coming. There is not. And we do have an envoy coming, so this could be an idle drop. You could fit 3 of them. Or you could go like 10 sim drop or something silly. I guess that would also be an option. With the size of AOT's army, if Sosij ends up pulling... Oh, never mind. What is he doing here? He's got scribes in there? Was that intentional? I don't know what's happening, to be honest. Okay. Alright, this is what I was waiting for. If he is going to do what it looks like he's going to do, and he pulls 3 of his idols out, I'm sorry, I think AOT is just going to kill him. I guess it's a little bit arguable because of the idol positioning, but I think AOT's army could kill him here. He's going to drop the scribe off to add on to the reservoir, which is fine, that's good. And then the idols are going to be dropped inside the main base. I guess it depends. I mean, if AOT keeps waiting, there's more idols being added to the army, so there's that. Ski back on the way for AOT, and he doesn't have... Well, yeah, this is the problem. So the idols have arrived now. If he falls away to defend, which he is going to do, then this game does go on. But it does feel like this is like... That was the wrong move. That was such a dangerous move from the Protoss, because his army is okay at dealing with pool units, but the size of what AOT had... There's no shield sustain, there's no defenses, nothing in that natural. So we are going to kill the envoy here pretty easily. He's going to try to unload all the way at the 12 o'clock, and he's only going to get 2 of the idols out. The Nats should fall away, because they will just die, as you can see. But that's all right. He can go back to mining now, and so he will. Oh, he should correct the mining on this. You can... It tries to remember the mining path that you ended up taking, so you can go like this. Manually order them around. So down the idols will go. Looks like a Vorv was a casualty there. Khaz'Trith on the way at the natural. AOT wants to play it a little bit more conservatively than I was initially predicting. Sosij has decided to use his gas surplus from the bottom left, not just to make the idols themselves, which do cost Vespene, but to go for a Crucible. To power his lattices. Yeah, okay. Alright, buddy. I'm not sure that that's the most epic usage of his push here. Now, the flank comes out with the Zeth Vorv, and if this annihilates all of the idols, Sosij is in huge trouble. But it looks like he should be able to going for a fighting retreat here, stutter stepping his way out. And only most of the idols will die, maybe half of them. But he can no longer really do much pressuring, and good play overall from AOT to get that flank going. That is the kind of surround that you want. Idols are obviously very good versus pool units, so no surprises that the Zeths and the Vorvs struggled a little bit. But clearly the Azerokors are going to be more than enough to break those idols and push them away. Unitary Union coming up online. Does feel like it's a little bit late. We have Matrix and we have more idols. AOT's got a ton of money in the bank. He's not really spending it. Hydra's on the way. I think if he collapses all of his army into one spot, he can deal with what is here, even considering these defenses will be finished by then. But we'll see. We'll see what he wants to end up doing. Going for a third base. Has that spare cash. Going to be ridge capping as well for that extra Vespene. He's got so many minerals, he could definitely throw a Shroud down or something. Instead, he's going to go for Mass Azerokor, which makes sense. Did he already make the ski back? He did. Okay. I thought I saw that in the production tab, but I also saw it in the previous game, so sometimes they blend together. 2 artisans mining from the geyser at the third base. So we definitely have, like, by the way, what you could do for real is just send 2 artisans over here to the reservoir, and then you ignore the fact that there's longer travel distance. But not something that Sosij is doing just yet. He could also go up here with them. Would be a little bit more utility, a little bit more yield. Zeth is too far away to scout those artisans spots, so feels like Sosij has something going on over here. Now, Bactylisks en masse are being produced. Idols do not hold up against that. The golems are going to absorb the initial shell, but there's going to be a lot. You know, it's going to be a lot that's coming. A lot more Azerokors, Zeths as well. And it does feel like Sosij is going to be defeated by this push. He's going to have 1 Asilian for the fight. Okay, maybe that does change the calculus if we can keep it alive for long enough. Let's see how this fight goes. Very scary Zerg army. And AOT is going to get a ton of bounces onto those idols. The Bactyls aren't even really fighting. Now they're firing. The golems are going to have to try to protect that Asilian with everything they got so they can chew through all the Azerokors. There's so many! And there's more coming across. Oh, AOT's not even leveraging the full might of his army, and still it feels like he's going to crack through. Sosij does not have the composition for this. And he's going to have to concede. GG, yep. Kind of what I was fearing there. Protoss ends up getting a little bit fancy with it. Harvests those side nodes there, and I think he just scaled his eco a little bit too slowly. You think about the embassy before he goes after that very important nexus. And his composition never left anti-pool, despite the presence of the Azerokors as he scouted in the initial push. I think Manifolds were a must there. Would have helped versus all of those Azerokors. See if Sosij internalizes that if he bothers going Lattice in Game 3. Lads, I am very excited to bring you Game 3 because it's on Monazite. AOT, our green Zerg in the top left. Sosij, eggshell blue, Protoss in the bottom right. Monazite is our island map made by Cannoli. Looking forward to it for sure. We'll have to see how this particular matchup fares because, yeah, I've seen TVA on this map. I've seen PVZ once, and it was a ridiculous game that Kasuga fought against Thunderslaps on. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen this map. It doesn't get played or picked very often. let it be known. Hydrith first for AOT, okay. Could he be going one base Skith? That's what I want to know. By the way, I'm sure we're going to have map makers eventually riff on the island idea. I have a feeling you could make an island map where you have like a main and a half base inside your main base area that you could expand to. And it might only have like 3 mineral fields, but like normal gas amounts or something. Like you could do all kinds of stuff, I feel like. There's a lot that you could play around with. So I'm just throwing that out there as an idea. Anybody wants to take that and run with it, they certainly can. I've got a lot of maps I want to make, but that one is one of them, I suppose. I don't trust anything you have to say about Island. Why, Green Eggs? Were you recently on the Lunatic Fringe? Yeah, that's such a good map. I love it. It's so good. So beautiful. I think if people knew to protect their Nidus, they would have an easier time on Lunatic Fringe. Or maybe if it like automatically rebuilt itself after a certain amount of time or something. I don't know. I don't know. Vessel on the way. Fast drop for the expansion. We have Zerg. Okay, so this is going to be an Zerg drop. That's what this is going to be. Obviously, they can attack up, so the Vessel is not going to get too much damage here. 1 burrow drill left is all that you will get, Sir Sosij. And with the Ovaleth here and the Zerg here, Sosij should be thinking about potential drops for sure. Needs to unburrow that worker, though. You've got a guy who's slacking, AOT. There you go. You got him. Making a couple of Hydras. I think that's a better defense versus the Vassals. And Sosij is indeed going to be spamming out Vassals. That's for sure. This might be a problem. Yeah, showing his hand there a little bit is AOT. He's going to try to unload right in the mainland here. Can the Ovaleth survive? The ground units have to escort it and then be elevated up. They cannot simply be dropped. Yeah, I mean, the Vassals aren't too bad at this kind of skirmishing. This, man, what a weird game this has already turned into. I love it. I love it. I don't always like gimmick maps, you know? You can ask Shambler. I've sometimes been very anti his gimmick maps. But there's something about the, like, Vassals skirmishing, sortying against the drop attempt. And the pool coming up afterwards, and like the weird unorthodox build orders. I don't know. There's something pretty cool about it. Embassy on the way, of course. Sosij loves his embassy. Hatch coming down at 12. The Ovaleth is going to wrap her all the way around. And there's actually not going to be anything in it. So, interesting choice there by AOT. Because what he doesn't want right now is he wants to basically like bait his opponent out, it looks like. Or that, or he was just going to wait a little bit. Yeah, he's going to come back down. Maybe he'll do a different kind of drop or something. With the pool done, he can go for Vornath if he wants it. He's been just drolling really hard after those initial military units were made. We do have 8 vassals swooping in here. The Zerg and the Hydra are still going to be cooking up. A little bit of defense. Hydra will be focused down immediately, but the Zerg are what you got to worry about here. So Sosij ends up losing a vassal. A little bit bruising on the other side. 2 more Droleth being ferried over, and so one Spraith isn't quite enough to help out here, although it does kill 1, so there is that. Oh, that Ovaleth is dead. Okay, so no further transporting allowed. A couple more vassals getting bruised on the way in off that rally point. We are going to get 1 Kagrant be made over here in the natural. That's going to frustrate a lot of mineral harvesting, that's for sure. Sprays have pretty good range. You don't always have to put them right in the mineral line. But I do like I like this positioning. I think I would like a second one somewhere, like maybe here next to the Kagrant, or the Larvask, rather. Oh, one of them going down immediately. No good. Zerg need to defend that. And they are not defending that. So the Sprays will eventually die. Zerg could have bounced a little bit more. Nathrokors have been made, though. Okay, so this is the actual defense AOT is going to be using. And honestly, I mean, we have double matrix, so... Oh, that's what he's going to do. You got to kind of respect this from the vassal count. Like, you need so many more vassals than Nathrokors to win versus Nathrokor fights. As you can see, they're just getting torn to pieces. What? What? He just GG'd. He was done. He was finished. I don't know why, to be honest. I don't know, something tilted him or whatever, but the Nathrokors came out. I'm trying to mentally map that out in my head. He was going to go Mass Artisan. He can make idols and envoys out of those structures. He can defend himself from Naths. There wasn't enough Naths to break his 2 Matrix in the main. That was really weird. But maybe he just didn't like the idea of playing an island map. I don't know. I am puzzled. I am helpless. But he could, maybe DoorDash was here and he just had to go pick up his pizza or whatever. And then he's like, oh, that was the last game. Well, either way, Sosij is eliminatus from the Tribunal. We'll maybe see him in our final Tribunal later on in March. Anyway, we have one more quarterfinal to proceed to. Stay tuned for that one. And of course, after that, the semis. And after that, the final. GG.